Good afternoon, you all. Welcome back to the Techness Corner. My name is Luca, your host, and we've got another episode and installment, episode 5 of the PC Master Race in the FB Marketplace. So come on, let's go. Okay, whoopsie, let's adjust that camera angle a little bit and let's just get a little bit in closer and a bit more personal with you all. So welcome back to the Techness Corner and episode 5 of PC Master Race in the FB Marketplace. Today we've got some interesting items already lined up for us and we're on a hunt for more. In essence, this is a used parts PC guide through my own experience acquired from within me inside, being released upon you all so that you've got the luxury of understanding what to look out for and what not to look out for, and more importantly, and prices which reflect the market today so that you don't get ripped off and perhaps even a partial roast in some way. So let's get cracking, y'all. So essentially, we're looking for specific items. Here's the marketplace. You want to go into electronics specifically, and if you're looking for computer stuff, go into the computer category. If you're just generalized part hunting, start out from there, or you will have additional categories as well, and you can specifically look for those type of items. Understand that it's not always going to have every single item. On a general sense of the word, all the items are put under electronics and computer section, but you don't have the option of putting them into specific categories. That's where Facebook will categorize them themselves based upon description. So if you're out hunting for the best buy, keep your parameters wider than what is actually there regarding specific categories when cross-referencing what is available on the current market. On a side note, I would also look at other places such as Craigslist, Gumtree, even eBay at times, pending the item, but realistically speaking, the items on eBay pertaining to computer parts, used parts, and things like that of a generalistic nature will be of a higher value than what you'll find on the other outlets. And that's where I'd start shopping first. There's probably more of a reliance and a reliability factor that might be associated with eBay products and sellers. But that's where I'm here to teach you how to steer through the BS essentially and get those items and make sure you don't get ripped off in the process. So getting back to it, here we got oh no, so I tried to load it up, guys, and it looks like it's already sold. I was considering it. Why? Because I'm a child, but it does mention that it is of adult size. Star Wars Darth Vader helmet. It was in the computer section, I shit you not, and pick up from Hoppers Crossing. I would have traversed the distance if necessary. It looks grandiose, doesn't it? It's got the helmet part as well. I didn't even realize that it adds on, and that would be insane. Is it hard plastic? Looks great, guys. So I'm not saying I'm Star Trek or Star Wars, or what am I saying? Let's address you all. I'm not saying I'm Star Trek or Star Wars, but yeah, I guess you guys did just see the transition. So back we go into the mix and the PC Master Race, FB Marketplace, episode 5. Come on. So to start off light today, putting aside the motherboard that we've looked at already, the Razer keyboard, Deathstalker, staple from back in the day. He had it for $50. It's been listed 4 weeks ago. He's dropped it to $20. It comes with the box. Great keyboard, works great, comes in the box. There's no reason for that to have wear and tear on it as well from the plastic that's on it, from my understanding. So if he's put it in the box, or he's got the box in that condition from that era, I've got a feeling that it will look immaculate underneath, although it could have just had a wipe on the rubber stopper. Look, $20, they are a decent keyboard, and you're not losing out anything if it works full stop, okay guys? It's not mechanical or anything like that. It's not the Chroma edition. I saw a Chroma one of these going for $80 the other day. The lady never got back to me. but I would grab that as a peripheral starter for yourself or a spare keyboard if you need something for $20 instead of a Logitech keyboard from the shops. That's entry-level business class variant, if you get my drift. Speaking of keyboards though, we've got ourselves a Clicky Switches IBM ATXT keyboard. If this is legitimate and it's not a knockoff, people, this looks amazing. For $80, I would probably suggest that the price is technically right. You know, I've actually already sent out some messages to this fella. He's a no holds type of man, and he's also a nah man, which means he won't accept trade and he won't hold it until tomorrow for me, frankly. I have to say this because it's beating on my chest, frankly, so let's get it out there. I'm trying to confirm with him through sincerity. He's the type of fella that literally you spend 3.5 minutes organizing and explaining to him how much you actually want this, and he doesn't want to go with no holds. Unfortunately, I've been burned too many times, blah 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 blah. So I had to confirm with him that if I come tomorrow for this item, I will send you a text telling you I am leaving the house now. You can hold it for that half an hour it'll take to drive to your house. I had to confirm this with the nah man. If he has 15 people arriving at his house after work at the same time, it's going to be ridiculous, isn't it? So he did say yes to that then. So hopefully they'll give me a half-hour bracket if it hasn't sold by then, to pick this wonderful keyboard up, if it in fact is legitimate. It suggests that it's from 1992. Unfortunately, look, it has a switch for an XT machine, so if that's an older connection to what is essentially, from my understanding, this is a DIN 5 connection. For the keyboard lovers out there, the DIN 5 connection, I believe, is compatible to a PS2. So if you've got a PS2 connection on those old school connections on those motherboards that we have that still sometimes exist, then in theory this should work. And that's why I'm considering it. I wish I could spend $70 for it, but this gentleman is eager not to budge regarding it. So he's taken some time with the photos specifically, but it does look like it's in great condition if it's not a knockoff. In fact, he never actually shows, he says it's a 1992, but with a product like this, and you saw it with the Deathstalker, okay, which is a couple of years of age. Common practice is to show the sticker on the back side of it to confirm this, so that you don't have 150 people asking you that exact question or confirmation of the items, and they've got all the information and they can go off and do their research rather than you get bombarded. He's already edited this advert, from my understanding, since the last time I was on it, where it said mechanical switches. Now it says clicky switches. So he's learning more about the keyboard as he himself goes, and he's also added a paragraph that seems a little bit pompous in some way, shape or form, where he doesn't really have time for customers, but he wants it sold, frankly. So it's a bit hypocritical of the way he's acting on Marketplace, frankly. If he don't like Marketplace, he should just leave it on Gumtree and not get it sold, you know? Yeah, guys, I tell you what, if it's legit, it's beautiful keyboard, and if you're inclined in that sort of a fashion, it make a great display piece. But it hasn't even got Windows keys and stuff, so you have to understand that this should be a secondary keyboard. It shouldn't be your go-to, because functionality speaking, you will not get the luxury of using it as effectively as something new. But it's not to say that it hasn't got its place in someone's setup in some way, shape or form. That leads us on to one of the biggest debates of the year, and that is graphic cards and probably graphic card prices. On a side note, if you're interested and you are unaware, completely oblivious to what's been going on, there should be a link in the description below to a recent-ish video that highlights what the F is going on with GPU prices today, where I, in unison and in tandem with Greg Salazar, tackle the big question and elaborate on each other to further understand what's going on in the market. The video itself is getting a little dated at the moment regarding date specific, but it still resonates truth and accuracy. So If you guys are interested, it goes for a little bit of time. If you're writing an essay on the topic, well, you got all the information there. So enjoy. Otherwise, let's get back to what's going on in the PC Master Race, FB Marketplace, Episode 5, graphics prices today specific. So this is freaking me out because for parts not working, $300. You see the item and you're like, $300. Okay, that's probably overpriced, but it's a ROG Strix Vega 64. So that's insane, guys, because it's not working. He specifies the specifications. It's not working into my system, but may be an easy fix. Can give it a try. Who is into computer peripherals? Please note that I am the second owner of this card, had bought it a few months back from Marketplace. I don't know what's going on with this dude. It really means jack all what he's saying. Like, it actually doesn't make sense. So he's not computer savvy or he's doing it intentionally, but keeping that in mind, it's a brick card. It's a brick card and he's selling it for parts. If it was a easy fix, he'd probably have done it himself by now, wouldn't he? And the problem is, when it comes to this sort of arrangement, these parts are essentially e-waste, and what you can get out of it is, say, someone can replace it and use the fans, and or someone can use the shroud if it's damaged, but unlikely. The rest of it's intact. It's not going to be broken, leading you down to something closer to what is your burnt out memory modules perhaps, and or capacitors, transistors and whatnot, and that requires a skilled hand, where the costs involved in someone repairing something like that would be in the figures of $300 to $500 minimum if you're lucky. And if someone like that can do it themselves, there's no way they pay that much for that sort of burnt out GPU per se, worst case scenario. The skilled labor to actually get that down is so niche that they've got the luxury of picking up broken GPUs everywhere. Coming back to the bigger picture, you see on YouTube where you got people who buy 20 of these for $1,000. They're broken. I'll see how many they can fix. Get me? I don't know. This guy's wishful thinking. I don't care how much he spent on it back then. It's sort of ridiculous in this day and age and market. So let's continue on. Continuing our graphics cards, we've got ourselves an Asus GT710 low profile graphic card or graphics card. It's $70. It'll cost you $70 at the shop new. It's 1 gigabyte. I believe it's GDDR5 memory. The GT710 is not your GTX variant. It has not got any RTX specialties, but you can buy these new to fixate what is a monitor gap of availability for multiple monitors if necessary while you wait for a GPU. But like I said, 100% I've seen these in the shop still today for approximately the same price new with warranty included, so that's a no. GTX 680 2GB graphics card, it leads us to $200, guys. Great little card, great little entry level card. $120 maximum is what you should be spending for a 2GB card. No more in this day and age. If inclined and if in doubt and the market is that dry, Australian dollars Pacific, 140, 150 tops, but nowhere near that mark. This is the problem with graphics cards today. Where he's getting the $200 figure from, I do not quite understand. I don't understand the worth in this card regardless for the performance that you're going to get. At the same time, entry level, if you can get it for $120, and I sold a GTX 750 Ti 2GB recently for approximately $125, because that's fair and that's where it should be realistically. So again, it's at your own discretion whether you would pay that amount, but I'm telling you right now that that is too much regardless of what market we're discussing in this day and age for that type of card. Leading us to something a little bit stronger, and something when it comes to entry level gaming in this day and age is what you want to aim for. We've got an Asus RX 580 4GB graphics card. Now this is the Asus variety of RX 580, and look, she is a beautiful card for an RX 580. This is one of the better variants of it, and 4GB graphics card definitely is solid. Unfortunately, the price of this has quadrupled almost in value from when they were used from pre-COVID times, okay? Currently, realistically speaking, in this climate, Australian dollars, you should not be spending more than $300 in this climate, being forgiving for the drasticness of the GPU market that is today. But 449 is definitely a stretch, okay? So it's something that unfortunately Zen's going to have to consider if he wants to get these cards sold. The crazy part is someone will probably offer him $399 and grab it, but not necessarily, okay? There are a lot of other cards out there which are 4GB invariants, which do rival this. This is from your AMD side of things, and there are NVIDIA equivalents that again have gone up in value. I had, for example, around the beginning of COVID, the option of getting an RX 580 8GB variant, and it was for a debatable sum of approximately $210 or so, where I was trying to mitigate the costs of an extra $10 or $15, and we couldn't get to that middle ground. So I missed that chance, and then everything ballooned out, and somehow this is double the price and half effectively the strength. So it's something to think about if you're new to the market, but understand that in this current market, probably about $250 to $300 is where fare should lay, and anything cheaper is where it should be, and that's what you should aim for. So with our GPU special in focus at the moment, we've got what is already sold, and sold for $230 in this case. It's a ゚Tech Geforce RDX 1050 Ti 4GB graphics card. That is one of the direct competitors to the RX 470. I believe that gentleman had, not a 580. I mean, no, 570, not a 580. He probably had, I think. It doesn't look as pretty. It doesn't matter if it works, okay? It's a little bit dusty. That's probably why the price was right for someone. Hasn't got the same amount of displays. Understand that it doesn't necessarily mean that just because it's got 4 or 5 displays on it that you can actually functionally utilize all of them. It gives you the option of having them there at times, but the cards might not be strong enough to be able to push an image through to all those ports at the same time. So you want to verify these things as well through looking up the specs of each card before you buy it. And this 1050 Ti, on the other hand, if it's a good card, you could overclock it a little bit and it'll boost up to 1800, 1900 megahertz. It won't hold it, but just like, you know, your turbo boosts in the Intel processors and whatnot, from 3 to 3.3, from 4 to 4.2 gigahertz, it pings it up there just enough to get those explosions being sorted and whatnot as you continue on your way, ready to hit the club in GTA, what is it now, 5? Look, this card from yesteryear would have cost approximately $200 new back in the day. Now, something else to consider is going back to the RX 4GB that we had. Understand that we've got equivalents at the stores right now which are new as well. New cards, 4GB, $400. Okay, so that's why, again, when it comes to the market is in disarray, but there are certain items available, like your 3090s, which will continue to get pushed because it's the biggest profit making card in NVIDIA's consumer lineup. There are 4GB cards available at select stores if you're savvy enough to find them, and their retail is $400. It's not $600, it's not $800, it's $400. So if you see a used card for $400, it's someone fishing because you're unaware that they're available new for that price. Remember, like I said, those 4GB cards were just over the $200 mark when they were new only a few years back, and the same equivalents are still available in the stores now with the appropriate and applicable markup, unfortunately. But that means that used prices can't reflect that and be of that same value. It just doesn't make sense, does it, guys? So like I said, $250, $300 and or less, because we're looking at about a 66 to 75% value of the new price is realistic for used prices. And this is how essentially computer parts work, is they will drop in value as soon as you walk out of that shop. Moore's law is not dead. There's something new just around the corner, and the value of your item has dropped instantaneously. As a used part, it will be at the very least 25% less of that new price, depending condition and or quality. One more, MSI X GTX 1050 Ti 4GB graphics card. So in this case, this is one of the prettier versions of the 1050 Ti, just like the Asus variant of the RX 580 I believe the gentleman had for sale. And for $350, we're starting to get a little bit more unreasonable. I would, like I said, $250 is what you want to spend on this card maximum in this day and age, in this current climate. No more than halfway between 2 to 3, thank you very much. But it's a great card if you can pick it up at the right price. Pick up in Clayton, people. Clayton, that's nice. That's from my surrounds as well. And he's called Mr. Computer Guy. Not to confuse yourself, bringing us to another graphics card, perhaps for sale, that could be a decent pickup for somebody. It is an Asus GeForce GTX 580 graphics card. Not to confuse yourself with the 580 of what we looked at just earlier, produced by AMD. This is an NVIDIA card. It will be a lot weaker. So this is an interesting item. As specified, it is not your AMD equivalent 580. It's a GTX NVIDIA GeForce GTX 580, guys. And it's an interesting item, coming back to it, and I'll tell you why. For $150, he's searching for something that's in the range of a ballpark of a 2GB graphics card. It's a sweet looking card, mind you. Like, don't discount it, but it's got GDDR5 RAM, which is fairly decent still in this day and age, and fast RAMs. But it is a card that's in between what should be a $70 card used to what should be a $150 card used, and it's only got 1.5 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM. So it's a weird hybrid of a card in the way the RAM allocation has been sorted for this card. So it's something to look at specifically, and to understand that if you get it for the right price, I'd say around $90 to $100 in today's climate, it'd be a applicable buy used. And we'll play games such as Fortnite, Valorant, Apex Legends, GTA 5 in today's climate, but with 1.5 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory, some of these games will definitely play, but only at 720p, but on high at the very least. Otherwise, 1080p, you've got, on many of these games, no hope on any settings other than low to get a reasonable frame count in this day and age still. So that's something to consider, people. But as an entry-level card, into the market for $100 or under, just under, that's what you're after to tie you over until you've got that kitty fund up and you can get yourself that delicious overpriced 3000 series or Radeon RDNA 2 card from our current gen lineup today. Leading us to something a little bit different, because we got to fill that build up with something, and we've got ourselves a computer case. It's $15, was $20. It doesn't look miraculous from the get-go. What caught my attention was what could have been potentially a Noctua fan. It's not, okay? So, but for $15, if you need to cut some corners, this will house a full-size ATX board. to know what size board it will house. It's 7 slots for a full-size ATX motherboard, and that is your general size motherboard in this day and age, realistically speaking, people. Leading us to a case that might be a little more applicable in today's climate, pertaining a buyer's taste, and it does have a PSU attached. That CX650 Corsair PSU will be reliable, but it is a CX650 Corsair PCU, and the CX variants of these PCUs at 650 watt weren't overly priced to begin with. Okay, so it's something to look at, where you've got a case as well. And if we get a closer look at the case, it's a Cooler Master case that's going to have rank airflow pertaining to this in regards to intake and whatnot. It's got a USB 3 port, it's got a USB 2 port. This case itself, okay, would not be more than $80 new when it was new. Okay, so that's something to consider when looking at this case specifically. Regardless of the panel and the side, don't let that confuse you. Unless it comes with something extra, there's no way near that price is right, because that power supply secondhand shouldn't be more than $100. So even with that said, okay, no more than $100, but even with that said, it should be less. I'd say 70 or 80 specific for that variant, even 60. I'd say 60 specific for a CX650, because there are different models and variants of Corsair power supplies. You don't just jumble them all into the fact that Corsair is great and that's it. Okay, it's reflective when you look at the new lineup of their power supplies and you start looking down the list to their budget orientated power supplies. They don't have the 10-year warranty attached with them as well. Okay, and this is one of those types of power supplies. If you consider the fact that that case would have been $80 new to begin with, you have to understand that you have to drop that, even if it's still new and he's just got it, about 20-25% to the $70, $69, $68, $67 figure, with the $67-$70 tops. And you know, you shouldn't be spending more than $139 to make it sound right from this gentleman in this day and age, unless there's something extra. And upon closer observation, people, we've got a 500 gigabyte hard drive, various additional cables in the case. I assume there would be, such as your PSU case cables, which is everything he's mentioned except for the SATA cables, which are like 50 cents, you know what I mean? So parts not sold separately. The 500 gigabyte hard drive, if it works, 7200 RPM especially, is something you want to look at. You want to look at the spindle speeds. No more than $15 for 5400 RPM, maybe $30 for 7200 RPM. And it might bring that figure up, but again, it still falls short. To solidify the $150 he might want, I would hold it back, that item. Make sure you get that $150. If the person's still playing it, that's when you chuck it in there for free. Okay, so you hold it back, you get $150, and you chuck it in there for free to solidify $150, no more. Okay, leading us into a budget offer system. So if you're part hunting or breaking things apart, for $100 in stock, we've got ourselves a case that can have a fan intake here. We'll have 2 fans here, will do the job, but also it's potentially got a budget orientated system ready to rock and roll with. It's got an i3 4130, i7 4790 is $70 plus, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 8 gigabytes is $15 plus. So this is an interesting item, the way he's got it set up for sale. For $100, you get something decent. I would recommend buying, especially if you're talking down $10. It's definitely worth it. There's a couple of things we have to discount, so let's take a closer look. Windows 10 Home unlicensed, it's unnecessary, it's unlicensed, you can get that for free anyway, it shouldn't even be suggested. Okay, Antex 650 watt, 80 plus gold, excellent. The case, okay, so the motherboard that will run a 4th generation processor, and then the luxury of i3 4130 with only 4 gigabytes of RAM. You will need more, you will need the 8 gigabytes of RAM for $100. If you talk him into the 8 gigabytes of RAM with the i3-4130, you got yourself an entry-level PC that's pretty decent for $100, and you're just looking for a graphics card. I would suggest that 2 gigabyte variant, and hopefully you get it around the $120 mark tops. As a result, you will definitely be able to play those games I was mentioning in previous, even on that 1.5 gigabyte variant of a card that I was referring to regarding the GTX 580. Okay, and unfortunately, or fortunate for some, if you want a deeper understanding of full system packages and how to break them down, start off with our last episode and work your way back. We are at the end of the week / it is a Sunday currently. This should be up by the Monday, and understand that unfortunately, the marketplace is quite dry when it comes to pre-built systems ready to rock and roll with, or parts that you can strip and sell off and or split. As you can see going down here, there's a computer for sale. That's the first one we get to for $120. And then going down the vine, there's nothing. There is absolutely nothing here. Let's just do a randomized scroll and stop there. Absolutely nothing, guys. Okay, so it's everything sold, and they'll be built up over the week to come out again around the time that we produce episode 4, which is Thursday, Friday for sale for the weekend, and everything is already sold. Okay, so this is how the marketplace works. Things come, things go, prices fluctuate up and down. It's something to consider, but there are set parameters that you want to be working in. Understand this, people, otherwise you're going to get ripped off. And if this at all helped you in any way, please hit the like and or subscribe button. Understand that this was just a quicker episode. I have much more comprehensive guides available on the channel. I have build guides as well as PC Master Race, FB Marketplace, that isn't as uneventful, frankly, as today's been. So my name is Seb Luca, your host from the Techness Corner, and peace out, yo. Mwah.